In the resplendent realm of Elysian fields, where the very air shimmered with an ethereal glow, the celestial city of Divina stood as a testament to divine grandeur. Its towering spires, crafted from the purest luminescent crystal, pierced the heavens, their tips wreathed in a perpetual dance of golden light and soft billowing clouds. The city was a symphony of architectural marvels, each structure a harmonious blend of nature and divine craftsmanship, adorned with cascading gardens of blossoms that defied the seasons, their petals whispering secrets to the gentle breezes that meandered through the streets. At the heart of Divina, the grand sanctuary of the divine pulsed with an otherworldly energy, its massive dome a radiant beacon that cast a kaleidoscope of colors across the cityscape. The sanctuary was a labyrinth of opulent chambers, each one more breathtaking than the last, their walls adorned with intricate murals depicting the tapestry of creation. The air within was thick with the scent of sacred incense, its tendrils curling and twisting like the smoke of 1,000 dreams, while the distant chimes of celestial choirs echoed through the hallowed halls, their harmonies resonating with the very essence of existence. In the innermost sanctum, the divine council convened their presence, a palpable force that bent the fabric of reality to their will. The council was a gathering of the most revered and powerful beings in all of creation, their forms radiant with divine light, their eyes windows to the infinite cosmos. At the head of the council sat the supreme divinity, a being of such profound power and wisdom that mere mortals would be reduced to naught but ashes by the mere act of gazing upon them. Their form was an ever-shifting tapestry of light and shadow, a kaleidoscope of divine energy that defied comprehension, their voice a thunderous echo that resonated with the very heartbeat of the universe. Before the council, kneeling upon a dais of shimmering marble, was the Chosen One, a mortal, chosen by the divine for a purpose yet unknown. The Chosen One was a figure of humble origins, their form cloaked in the simple garb of their mortal world, their eyes a window to a soul that burned with the fire of determination and the weight of destiny. The air around them crackled with an energy that was both familiar and alien, a testament to the divine power that coursed through their veins, a power that was both a gift and a burden. The supreme divinity's voice echoed through the sanctum, its resonance shaking the very foundations of the sanctuary. Chosen One, you stand before us today, a beacon of hope in a world teetering on the brink of darkness. The forces of chaos and despair gather, their shadows stretching across the land, their whispers sowing discord and strife. The balance of existence itself hangs in the balance, and it is to you that we entrust the fate of all that is. The Chosen One's heart pounded in their chest, their breath hitching as the weight of the Supreme Divinity's words settled upon their shoulders. They could feel the eyes of the Divine Council upon them, their gazes piercing the very depths of their soul, their presence a tangible force that threatened to overwhelm the mortal vessel that housed their spirit. Yet amidst the storm of emotions that raged within them, there was a calm, a steadfast resolve that anchored them to the task at hand. Great and benevolent beings, the Chosen One began, their voice barely more than a whisper, yet resonating with a strength that belied their mortal form. I stand before you humbled and honored by the trust you have placed in me. I am but a mere mortal, yet I swear to you upon the very essence of my being that I shall not falter in the face of the trials that lie ahead. I shall not let them leave me behind, for I am the Chosen One, and I shall see this journey through to its end. The Supreme Divinity's form shimmered, their light intensifying as they leaned forward, their gaze boring into the Chosen One's very soul. You speak with the conviction of 1,000 warriors chosen. One, yet the path that lies before you is fraught with peril and uncertainty. The forces that seek to engulf the world in darkness are not to be underestimated. Their power, a shadow that threatens to consume all that is good and pure. You must be prepared to face the unknown, to confront the darkness within yourself, and to emerge victorious, a beacon of hope in the face of despair. The Chosen One's eyes burned with a fierce determination, their resolve unshaken by the Supreme Divinity's words. I understand the gravity of the task that lies before me, Great One. I have seen the darkness that gathers on the horizon, felt the chill of its embrace as it seeks to extinguish the light of the world. But I am not alone, for I carry the light of the divine within me, a flame that shall never be extinguished, no matter the trials that I may face. The Supreme Divinity's form pulsed with a radiant light, their presence filling the sanctum with a warmth that was both comforting and awe-inspiring. You speak with the wisdom of the age's Chosen One, yet the path that lies before you is one that must be walked alone. You must trust in your instincts, in the power that courses through your veins, and in the knowledge that you are never truly alone, for the divine is with you, always and forever. The Chosen One's heart swelled with a profound sense of purpose, their spirits soaring on the wings of divine inspiration. They could feel the power of the Supreme Divinity's words, the weight of their blessing settling upon their shoulders like a mantle of light. They knew that the journey that lay ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, yet they also knew that they were the Chosen One and that they would not falter in the face of the trials that awaited them. As the Supreme Divinity's voice echoed through the sanctum, the Chosen One's mind was filled with visions of the path that lay ahead, a tapestry of light and shadow that stretched out before them like an endless horizon. They saw the battles that would be fought, the allies that would stand beside them, and the enemies that would seek to tear them asunder. They saw the darkness that sought to consume the world and the light that would ultimately triumph, a beacon of hope in the face of despair. And as the visions faded, the Chosen One knew that they were ready, that they were prepared to face the unknown, to confront the darkness within themselves, and to emerge victorious, a beacon of hope in the face of despair. For they were the Chosen One, and they would not let them leave them behind, no matter the trials that lay ahead. They would see this journey through to its end, and they would bring light to a world teetering on the brink of darkness, a world that would forever be changed by the power of the divine and the unwavering resolve of the Chosen One. The weight of the world, or at least the weight of this world, settled onto Amon's shoulders as he stood at the precipice of the divine realm. The golden light of the heavens casting long, dancing shadows around him. The air was thick with the scent of jasmine, and something else, something indefinable, like the essence of time itself. He could feel the power of the divine instructions coursing through his veins, a warmth that spread from his core to his fingertips, a fire that burned not with destruction, but with purpose. Amon's heart pounded in his chest, a drumbeat of determination and fear. He was the Chosen One, the one who had been entrusted with the final instructions from the divine. The responsibility was immense, a burden that threatened to crush him. But he also felt a surge of exhilaration, a thrill that ran through him like an electric current. He was no longer just Amon, the ordinary man. He was Amon, the Chosen One, the savior of this world. As he took his first step back into the mortal realm, the air shifted around him. The scent of jasmine faded, replaced by the familiar smells of the world he knew. The golden light dimmed, and the shadows grew darker, more menacing. He could feel the weight of the divine instructions pressing down on him, a physical force that seemed to push him towards his destiny. Amon's journey back to the mortal world was a blur of emotions and sensations. He could feel the wind on his face, the rough texture of the path beneath his feet. He could hear the distant sounds of the world around him, the rustling of leaves, the distant call of a bird. But above all, he could feel the divine instructions, a constant presence in his mind, guiding him, urging him forward. As he approached the village, the emotions of the people washed over him like a tidal wave. He could feel their fear, their desperation, their hope. He could see it in their eyes, hear it in their voices. The village was on the brink of collapse. The darkness that threatened to consume it was palpable. Aemon could feel it. A cold, creeping force that seemed to seep into his very soul. He approached the village elder, a wise old man who had guided Aemon in the past. The elder's eyes were filled with a mix of hope and despair, a testament to the struggle he had been through. Aemon could feel the elder's emotions, a complex web of feelings that seemed to tug at his heartstrings. "Aemon," the elder said, his voice barely above a whisper, "you've returned." We were beginning to lose hope. Aemon could feel the weight of the elder's words, the desperation behind them. He reached out, placing a hand on the elder's shoulder. "I have returned," he said, his voice steady, filled with a newfound strength. "And I bring with me the final instructions from the divine." The elder's eyes widened, a spark of hope igniting within them. "The divine instructions?" he asked, his voice filled with awe. "You have seen the divine." Aemon nodded, a sense of pride swelling within him. "I have," he said, "and I have been entrusted with the final instructions. We will use them to save our world." The elder's eyes filled with tears, a mix of joy and relief. "You are truly the chosen one," he said, his voice filled with reverence. "You will save us, Aemon. I have faith in you." Aemon could feel the elder's faith, a warm, comforting presence that seemed to strengthen his resolve. He knew the task ahead was daunting, but he also knew that he was not alone. He had the faith of his people, the guidance of the divine, and the strength of his own convictions. As he stood there, surrounded by the people of his village, Aemon could feel the weight of the divine instructions pressing down on him. But he also felt a sense of purpose, a sense of destiny. He was the chosen one, and he would not let his people down. The journey ahead was long and fraught with danger, but Aemon was ready. He could feel the divine instructions guiding him, urging him forward. He could feel the faith of his people, a constant source of strength and comfort. And he could feel the darkness that threatened to consume his world, a cold, creeping force that seemed to seep into his very soul. But Aemon was not afraid. He was the chosen one, and he would not let his world fall into darkness. He would fight, he would struggle, and he would prevail. For he was Aemon, the chosen one, the savior of this world, and he would not let his people down. The weight of the divine words pressed heavily upon Aemon's shoulders, a burden both sacred and suffocating. The air in the chamber was thick with the scent of incense, the sweet and pungent aroma clinging to his skin, his hair, his very soul. The flickering torchlight danced upon the ancient stone walls, casting long, wavering shadows that seemed to whisper secrets of their own. Aemon's heart pounded in his chest, a relentless drumbeat that echoed in his ears, drowning out the distant hum of the temple's other occupants. He stood before the altar, his knees trembling, his hands clasped so tightly together that his knuckles had turned white. The stone beneath his bare feet was cold, unyielding, a stark contrast to the fire that raged within him. His breath came in short, sharp gasps, each one a struggle against the weight that pressed down upon him. He could feel the eyes of the divine upon him, their gaze like a physical touch burning into his very essence. The words they had spoken to him echoed through his mind, a symphony of dread and wonder. He was the chosen one, the one who would save their world from the encroaching darkness. The thought filled him with a sense of purpose, a burning determination that ignited a fire in his belly. But it also filled him with fear, a cold, gnawing terror that coiled around his heart and squeezed until he could scarcely draw breath. He thought of his family, of his mother's warm smile, and his father's steady hand. He thought of his little sister, her laughter like a bell chiming in the wind. He would miss them, the ache of their absence already a tangible thing within him. But he knew that he could not turn away from this path, not now that he had been chosen. The fate of the world rested upon his shoulders, and he would not let it fall. He thought of his friends, of the laughter they had shared, the adventures they had embarked upon. He thought of the way they had looked at him, their eyes filled with admiration and respect. He knew that they would follow him, that they would stand by his side as he faced the darkness that threatened to consume them all. The thought filled him with a sense of warmth, a beacon of light in the encroaching gloom. But he also thought of the sacrifices that would be required, of the lives that would be lost, of the pain and suffering that would be endured. He thought of the weight of the crown that he would one day wear, of the burden of leadership that would rest upon his shoulders. He thought of the blood that would be spilled in his name, of the lives that would be forever changed by his actions. The thought filled him with a sense of dread, a cold, creeping horror that threatened to consume him. He took a deep, shuddering breath, the scent of incense filling his lungs, grounding him in the moment. He could feel the power of the divine coursing through him, a river of energy that threatened to sweep him away. He could feel the weight of his destiny pressing down upon him, a physical force that threatened to crush him beneath its immense power. But he also felt a sense of resolve, a steeling of his spine, a hardening of his heart. He would not falter, would not fail. He would face the darkness that threatened to consume them all, and he would emerge victorious. He would save his world, would protect his family, his friends, his people. He would be the chosen one, the hero that they needed, the savior that they deserved. He knelt before the altar, his head bowed, his eyes closed. He could feel the power of the divine surrounding him, enveloping him, filling him with a sense of peace, purpose. He could feel the weight of his destiny lifting, if only for a moment, a respite from the burden that he carried. He opened his eyes, his gaze fixed upon the altar before him. The stone was smooth, unblemished, a stark contrast to the turmoil that raged within him. He reached out his fingers, tracing the ancient carvings that adorned its surface. The stone was cool beneath his touch, a grounding force in the midst of the storm that threatened to consume him. He took a deep, steadying breath, the scent of incense filling his lungs, calming his racing heart. He could feel the power of the divine surrounding him, guiding him, strengthening him. He could feel the weight of his destiny lifting, if only for a moment, a respite from the burden that he carried. He stood his body straight, his shoulders squared. He was ready to face the darkness, ready to embrace his destiny, ready to save his world. He turned his gaze, sweeping over the chamber, taking in the ancient stone walls, the flickering torchlight, the scent of incense that hung heavy in the air. He took a step forward, then another, his footsteps echoing in the silence. He could feel the eyes of the divine upon him, their gaze like a physical touch, guiding him, strengthening him. He could feel the power of his destiny coursing through him, a river of energy that threatened to sweep him away. But he would not falter, would not fail. He would face the darkness that threatened to consume them all, and he would emerge victorious. He would save his world, would protect his family, his friends, his people. He would be the chosen one, the hero that they needed, the savior that they deserved. As he stepped out of the chamber, the weight of his destiny settled upon his shoulders once more. But he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to embrace his fate, ready to save his world. The journey would be long, the road would be hard, but he would not falter, would not fail. He would be the chosen one, and he would save his world. The weight of the world, or at least the weight of this world, settled onto Amon's shoulders as he stood at the precipice of the divine realm, the golden light of the heavens casting long, dramatic shadows that danced and flickered like the whispers of the gods themselves. The air was thick with the scent of incense and the faint underlying sweetness of nectar, a heady perfume that made his human senses reel. He could feel the power coursing through him, a river of divine energy that threatened to drown him in its current. His heart pounded in his chest, a drumbeat of fear and awe. as he looked down at his hands, half expecting to see them glowing with the same ethereal light that bathed the realm around him. The divine messenger, a being of radiant beauty and terrible majesty, stood before him, its wings casting a vast shadow that seemed to swallow the very light of the heavens. Its voice was like thunder, yet it resonated with a melody that stirred something deep within Amon's soul, a chord that vibrated with the echoes of creation itself. "You are the chosen one, Amon of the Forgotten Realm." It intoned its words, heavy with the weight of destiny. "The fate of your world rests in your hands. Do not let them leave you behind, for they are the key to your salvation." Amon's breath hitched in his throat, his lungs burning as if he had been running for miles. He could feel the tears welling up in his eyes, a stinging sensation that blurred his vision and made the divine messenger's form shimmer like a mirage. He wanted to speak, to ask questions, to beg for more time, but his voice was stolen by the enormity of the moment. He was just a man, a simple farmer, from a forgotten corner of the world, and yet here he stood in the presence of the divine, tasked with a burden that seemed too great to bear. The messenger's eyes, like pools of liquid gold, seemed to see straight into his soul, and Amon felt a wave of warmth wash over him, a comforting embrace that eased the tension in his muscles and slowed his racing heart. "Fear not, chosen one," the messenger said, its voice softening to a whisper that still carried the weight of the heavens. "You have been chosen for a reason. The strength you need is within you, and the love of those around you will guide you on your path." Amon took a deep, shuddering breath, the scent of the divine realm filling his lungs and steadying his nerves. He could feel the power within him, a spark of something greater than himself, and he knew that he could not turn away from this task. He had to try, for the sake of his world, for the sake of those he loved. "I will do as you ask," he said, his voice barely more than a whisper, yet it echoed through the divine realm like a battle cry. "I will not let them leave me behind." The messenger's wings spread wide, casting a shadow that seemed to engulf the very essence of Amon's being. "Then go, chosen one," it said, its voice resonating with the power of creation. "Return to your world and gather your companions. The path before you will be fraught with peril, but remember, you are never alone. The divine watches over you, and the love of those around you will be your guiding light." Amon felt a sudden surge of energy, a rush of power that lifted him from the ground and sent him spiraling through the heavens, the golden light of the divine realm, fading into the darkness of the void. He could feel the wind rushing past him, the cold bite of the cosmos on his skin, and he knew that he was falling back into the world he had left behind. As he descended, he could see the world below him, a tapestry of green and blue, of forests and oceans, of cities and villages, all bathed in the warm glow of the sun. He could see the people, tiny specks of life that moved and bustled, each one a story, a history, a world unto themselves. And he knew that he had to save them, that he had to protect them from the darkness that threatened to consume their world. He landed with a thud, the impact sending a shockwave through his body that left him gasping for breath. He was back in the forest, the same forest where he had first been chosen, the same forest where his journey had begun. The air was cool and damp, the scent of earth and leaves filling his nostrils, and he could hear the distant call of a bird, a melody that seemed to echo the song of the divine. Amon took a moment to steady himself, his hands trembling as he pushed himself up from the ground. He could feel the power within him, a steady pulse of energy that seemed to hum beneath his skin. He knew that he had to find his companions, that he had to gather them together and prepare for the journey ahead. But first, he had to find his way back to the village, back to the life he had left behind. As he made his way through the forest, he could feel the eyes of the divine upon him, a warm presence that seemed to guide his steps and steady his resolve. He could hear the whispers of the wind, the rustling of the leaves, and he knew that he was not alone, that the divine was with him, watching over him, guiding him on his path. He emerged from the forest into the golden light of the setting sun, the sky a canvas of orange and pink, of purple and blue. The village was before him, a cluster of thatched roofs and wooden walls, a haven of warmth and light in the encroaching darkness. He could see the smoke rising from the chimneys, the flickering glow of lanterns, and he knew that he was home. As he approached the village, he could feel the eyes of the villagers upon him, their gazes a mix of curiosity and wariness. He knew that they had seen him leave, that they had seen the light of the divine descend upon him, and he knew that they would have questions, that they would want to know what had happened, what he had seen. But Amen could not answer their questions, not yet. He had a task to fulfill, a journey to undertake, and he knew that he could not be swayed from his path. He made his way through the village, his heart heavy with the weight of his burden, his mind racing with the memories of the divine realm. He found his companions in the village square, gathered around a crackling fire, their faces bathed in the warm glow of the flames. They looked up as he approached, their eyes wide with surprise and concern. "Amen," one of them said, his voice barely more than a whisper. "Is that you?" Amen nodded, his heart swelling with a mix of love and fear, of determination and doubt. He knew that he had to tell them, that he had to share the burden that had been placed upon him, but he also knew that he could not force them to join him, that he could not ask them to leave behind the lives they had built, the families they had created. He took a deep breath, the scent of the fire filling his lungs, the warmth of the flames chasing away the chill of the evening air. "I have been chosen," he said, his voice steady, despite the turmoil within him. "I have been given a task, a journey to undertake, and I cannot do it alone. I need your help." His companions looked at each other, their faces a mix of shock and disbelief, of fear and determination. They knew the weight of his words, the gravity of his task, and they knew that they could not turn away, that they could not leave him to face the darkness alone. One by one, they stood, their hands reaching out to clasp his, their voices a chorus of support and solidarity. "We will go with you, Amen." They said their words, a promise, a vow, a bond that could not be broken. "We will stand by your side through the darkness and the light, through the trials and the triumphs. We will not let you leave us behind." Amen felt a tear slip down his cheek, a single drop of gratitude and love, of fear and hope. He knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with peril, that the darkness they faced would be terrible and vast, but he also knew that he was not alone, that he had the love and support of those around him, that he had the power of the divine within him. And so, with a heart full of determination and a soul filled with hope, Amen of the forgotten realm set out on his journey, his companions by his side, his destiny before him, and the love of the divine guiding his steps. The path was uncertain, the future unknown, but he knew that he would face whatever lay ahead, that he would fight for his world, for his companions, for the love that bound them all together. And he knew that no matter what, he would never let them leave him behind. The weight of the world, or at least the weight of their world, pressed down on Amen's shoulders as he stood at the precipice of the sacred grove. The air was thick with the scent of ancient trees and damp earth, the canopy above filtering the sunlight into dappled patterns that danced upon the forest floor. The whispers of the divine still echoed in his ears, their final instructions, a mantra that played on repeat in his mind. He could feel the eyes of his companions upon him, their gazes a mixture of awe, fear, and anticipation. They were looking to him, their chosen one, for guidance, for reassurance. But all he felt was the crushing weight of responsibility, the cold tendrils of doubt slithering up his spine. Lyra, her hand still entwined with his, gave it a gentle squeeze. He looked down at her, her eyes reflecting the kaleidoscope of light. From above her face, a picture of unwavering faith. Her touch was warm, grounding a beacon of comfort in the storm of his thoughts. "We're with you, Amen," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. "No matter what happens, we're with you." Her words were a balm to his frayed nerves, a salve to his wounded spirit. He felt the tension in his shoulders ease, if only slightly. He gave her hand a reassuring squeeze in return, his gaze flickering to the others. Cale, his ever-loyal friend, stood tall and resolute, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. His eyes were steely, determined, a silent vow of support. Beside him, Ilara, the gentle healer, her hands clasped tightly together, her lips moving in silent prayer. Her eyes were wide, her breath hitching slightly, but her chin was held high, her resolve unwavering. Amen took a deep breath, the scent of the forest filling his lungs, grounding him. He could do this. He had to. For them, for their world. He turned to face the path ahead, the divine's instructions clear in his mind. The journey would be treacherous, the trials they would face unknown. But they were together, and that was all that mattered. The first step was the hardest. The path beneath his feet unfamiliar, treacherous. The trees seemed to close in around them, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out their leaves, whispering secrets in the wind. The air grew colder, the sunlight dimmer, the path steeper. But they pressed on their resolve, unwavering, their unity unbroken. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the forest, the whispers grew louder, the air thick with an almost palpable sense of magic. Amen could feel it, a hum beneath his skin, a pulse in his veins. It was both exhilarating and terrifying, a reminder of the power they were up against, the stakes they were playing for. Suddenly, the path opened up into a clearing, the sight before them taking their breath away. A crystal-clear lake stretched out before them, its surface shimmering under the dappled sunlight. In the center of the lake, a small island, and upon it a towering tree, its branches heavy with fruit, its leaves glowing with an ethereal light. The tree of life, the heart of their world, the key to their salvation. But between them and the island, the lake, its surface calm, serene, but Amen knew better. He could feel the power radiating from it, the danger lurking beneath. He turned to his companions, their faces a mirror of his own awe and trepidation. "We must cross," he said, his voice steady, despite the turmoil within him. "But we must be careful. The lake is not what it seems." Lyra nodded, her hand still in his, her grip tight. "We'll be careful," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Cale unsheathed his sword, his eyes scanning the lake, his body tense ready. Ilara took a deep breath, her hands glowing with a soft light, her magic at the ready. One by one, they stepped into the lake, the water cold, the current strong. Amen could feel it pulling at him, trying to drag him under. But he pressed on his eyes on the island, his mind focused on the task at hand. The water rose, the current grew stronger, but they fought against it, their unity, their strength, their love, their shield. As they neared the island, the water began to churn, the surface no longer calm, no longer serene. A figure emerged its form, shifting its eyes, glowing with a malevolent light. The guardian of the lake, the protector of the tree of life. It let out a deafening roar, the sound echoing through the forest, the ground trembling beneath their feet. Amen felt a surge of fear, his heart pounding in his chest, his breath hitching in his throat. But he pushed it down, his resolve hardening, his determination unyielding. He was the chosen one, the savior of their world. He would not falter, he would not fail. With a battle cry, he charged his companions at his side, their unity unbroken, their love, their strength. The battle for their world had begun. The weight of the divine words pressed heavily upon Eli's shoulders, their resonance still echoing within the hollow chambers of his heart. The air around him was thick with the scent of ancient parchment and the faint, lingering aroma of incense, a remnant of the countless prayers that had been whispered within these sacred walls. The stone floor beneath his feet was cold, a stark contrast to the warmth that had once filled him, now replaced by a gnawing uncertainty. Eli's fingers trembled as he clutched the parchment, the words of the divine instructions etched into his mind, yet their meaning still elusive, like shadows dancing just beyond the reach of his understanding. He could feel the eyes of the high priestess upon him, her gaze a physical weight, a silent plea for him to rise, to lead, to be the chosen one she believed him to be. But the burden of her expectations was a yoke that threatened to break his spirit, his resolve crumbling like the parchment in his grasp. The chamber was a symphony of whispers, the murmurs of the acolytes and priestesses, a distant hum, their voices blending into a cacophony of anticipation and dread. The flickering torchlight cast long dancing shadows upon the stone walls, the flames reflecting the turmoil within Eli's soul. He could feel the heat of the fire, the lick of its tongues upon his skin, a stark reminder of the trials that lay ahead. Eli's breath hitched in his throat, his lungs constricting as if bound by invisible chains. The air was thick with the scent of burning wax and the faint metallic tang of fear. He could taste the salt of his own tears, the bitterness of his doubt, the acrid sting of his uncertainty. His heart pounded in his chest, a drumbeat of despair, each throb a reminder of the weight of his destiny. The high priestess's voice cut through the whispers, her words a blade of steel, sharp and unyielding. Eli, the gods have chosen you. You must not let them leave you behind. Her voice was a beacon of light in the darkness, a guiding star in the storm of his doubt. But Eli could not see the path she spoke of, could not find the strength to take the first step. He looked down at his hands, the parchment crumpling beneath his grip. The ink had bled the words of the divine instructions, a smudge of black, a stain upon his soul. He could feel the weight of the world pressing down upon him, the expectations of the high priestess, the hopes of the acolytes, the fears of the people. He was a vessel, a conduit for their dreams, their fears, their doubts. Eli's eyes burned with unshed tears, the salt of his grief a bitter reminder of the life he had once known, the life he had left behind. He could still see the faces of his family, their smiles, their laughter, their love. He could still hear their voices, their words of encouragement, their pleas for him to return. But he was a chosen one now, a vessel of the divine, a pawn in the game of the gods. The high priestess's hand upon his shoulder was a comfort, a reminder of the path he must tread. Her touch was warm, her voice a balm to his wounded soul. Eli, you are not alone. The gods are with you, and so are we. You must not let them leave you behind. Eli's breath caught in his throat, his heart a drumbeat of despair. He could feel the weight of the world pressing down upon him, the expectations of the high priestess, the hopes of the acolytes, the fears of the people. He was a vessel, a conduit for their dreams, their fears, their doubts. But he was also a man, a mortal, with fears and doubts of his own. He looked up at the high priestess, her eyes a beacon of light in the darkness. He could see the strength in her gaze, the unyielding resolve that had guided her through the trials of her own life. He could see the love in her smile, the warmth of her spirit, the unbreakable bond that connected them. Eli's heart swelled with a newfound determination, a resolve that burned like a fire within his soul. He would not let them leave him behind. He would not let the gods, the high priestess, the acolytes, the people, or himself down. He would tread the path that had been laid before him, no matter the cost, no matter the trials that lay ahead. He took a deep breath, the air filling his lungs, the scent of incense and ancient parchment, a reminder of the divine instructions that had been bestowed upon him. He could feel the weight of the parchment in his hand, the words of the gods, a beacon of light in the darkness. He would not let them leave him behind. Eli's voice was steady, his resolve unyielding. I will not let them leave me behind. The words echoed through the chamber, a testament to his determination, a promise to the gods, the high priestess, the acolytes, the people, and himself. He would tread the path that had been laid before him, no matter the cost, no matter the trials that lay ahead. The high priestess's smile was a beacon of light, her eyes a reflection of the love and pride that filled her heart. She placed her hand upon Eli's shoulder, her touch a reminder of the bond that connected them, the unbreakable bond of faith, of love, of destiny. Eli's heart swelled with a newfound strength, a resolve that burned like a fire within his soul. He would not let them leave him behind. He would tread the path that had been laid before him, no matter the cost, no matter the trials that lay ahead. He would be the chosen one, the vessel of the divine, the beacon of light in the darkness. The chamber was a symphony of whispers, the murmurs of the acolytes and priestesses, a distant hum, their voices blending into a cacophony of anticipation and hope. The flickering torchlight cast long dancing shadows upon the stone walls, the flames reflecting the determination within Eli's soul. He could feel the heat of the fire, the lick of its tongues upon his skin, a stark reminder of the trials that lay ahead. Eli's breath was steady, his heart a drumbeat of resolve. He could feel the weight of the world upon his shoulders, the expectations of the high priestess, the hopes of the acolytes, the fears of the people. But he was ready. He was the chosen one, the vessel of the divine, the beacon of light in the darkness. He looked down at the parchment in his hand, the words of the divine instructions, a beacon of light in the darkness. He would not let them leave him behind. He would tread the path that had been laid before him, no matter the cost, no matter the trials that lay ahead. He would be the chosen one, the vessel of the divine, the beacon of light in the darkness. The high priestess's voice was a balm to his wounded soul, her words a reminder of the path he must tread. Eli, the gods have chosen you. You must not let them leave you behind. Her voice was a beacon of light in the darkness, a guiding star in the storm of his doubt. And Eli knew that he would not let them leave him behind. He would tread the path that had been laid before him, no matter the cost, no matter the trials that lay ahead. He would be the chosen one, the vessel of the divine, the beacon of light in the darkness. The weight of the divine words pressed heavily upon Amon's shoulders, a burden both sacred and suffocating. The air in the chamber was thick with the scent of incense, the sweet, heady aroma clinging to his skin and filling his lungs with each breath. The flickering torchlight cast long, dancing shadows that seemed to whisper secrets of their own, echoing the divine instructions that now echoed within his mind. Amon's heart pounded in his chest, a relentless drumbeat that threatened to drown out the voice of the goddess. His palms were slick with sweat, the hilt of his sword slippery beneath his grip. He could feel the eyes of his companions upon him, their gazes a physical weight, a silent plea for reassurance. But how could he offer solace when his own heart was a storm of fear and doubt? He turned to look at them, his friends, his family. Lyra, her face a mask of determination, her eyes reflecting the torchlight like twin flames. Her hands were clenched into fists, at her sides her knuckles white with tension. Amon could see the pulse fluttering at her throat, a testament to her own anxiety. She was trying so hard to be strong, to be the beacon of hope they all needed. But he knew the fears that lurked beneath her steadfast exterior. Beside her, Thorn stood tall and proud, his expression unreadable. But Amon could see the subtle signs of his unease, the way his fingers twitched at his sides, the way his eyes darted nervously around the chamber. Thorn was a warrior, a protector, and the thought of leaving their home, their people behind, was a bitter pill for him to swallow. And then there was Alara, her eyes wide and fearful, her lower lip trembling. She clutched her staff like a lifeline, her knuckles white with the force of her grip. Amon could see the tears glistening in her eyes, the unshed tears that spoke of her terror. She was the youngest of them, the most innocent, and the thought of the dangers that lay ahead was a cruel jest. Aemon took a deep breath, the scent of incense filling his lungs, grounding him. He reached out his hand, finding Lyra's. Her fingers were cold, her skin damp with sweat. He gave her hand a reassuring squeeze, his thumb tracing soothing circles on her palm. She looked at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and gratitude. He offered her a small, reassuring smile, a silent promise that they would face whatever lay ahead together. He turned to Thorn, his other hand reaching out to clasp his friend's shoulder. Thorn's muscles were tense beneath his touch, his body coiled like a spring. Aemon gave him a firm, reassuring squeeze, his fingers digging into the thick muscle. Thorn looked at him, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and determination. Aemon could see the resolve hardening in his friend's gaze, the steely resolve that had seen them through countless battles. Finally, he turned to Alara. She was looking at him, her eyes filled with tears. He reached out his hand, cupping her cheek. Her skin was soft and warm beneath his touch, her breath hitching slightly at his caress. He wiped away her tears with his thumb, his fingers tracing the delicate line of her jaw. "We'll keep you safe, Alara," he promised, his voice a soft whisper. "I swear it." She nodded, her eyes filled with the trust. She reached up her hand, covering his. Her fingers were small and delicate, her grip surprisingly strong. He could feel the warmth of her skin, the steady beat of her pulse. It was a comforting sensation, a reminder of the life they were fighting to protect. Aemon turned back to the altar, his heart heavy with the weight of his responsibility. He took a deep breath, the scent of incense filling his lungs. He closed his eyes, the divine instructions playing through his mind like a melody. He could hear the goddess's voice, soft and clear, guiding him, directing him. He opened his eyes, his gaze sweeping over his friends. They were looking at him, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and determination. He could see the trust in their gazes, the unwavering faith they had in him. It was a humbling sensation, a reminder of the bond they shared, the unbreakable bond that had seen them through countless trials and tribulations. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. He reached out his hand, finding the hilt of his sword. The metal was cold beneath his touch, the familiar weight a comforting presence. He drew the blade, the steel singing softly as it left its sheath. The torchlight danced along the blade, casting a shimmering reflection that seemed to dance and flicker like a living thing. He looked at his friends, his voice steady and sure. "We leave at dawn," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We leave our homes, our families behind. But we do not leave them unprotected. We leave them in the capable hands of our people, our friends, our family. They will keep them safe, just as we will keep each other safe." He could see the resolve hardening in their eyes, the steely determination that had seen them through countless battles. He could feel the bond between them, the unbreakable connection that had seen them through countless trials and tribulations. He could feel the love they shared, the love that would see them through whatever lay ahead. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. He looked at his friends, his voice steady and sure. "We leave at dawn," he repeated, his voice echoing through the chamber. "And we do not return until our mission is complete, until the darkness is vanquished, until the light is restored, until our people are safe, until our homes are secure, until we have fulfilled our destiny, until we have fulfilled the will of the goddess." He could see the determination in their eyes, the unwavering resolve that would see them through whatever lay ahead. He could feel the bond between them, the unbreakable connection that would see them through whatever trials and tribulations lay ahead. He could feel the love they shared, the love that would see them through whatever darkness lay ahead. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. He looked at his friends, his voice steady and sure. "We leave at dawn," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "And we do not return until our mission is complete, until the darkness is vanquished, until the light is restored, until our people are safe, until our homes are secure, until we have fulfilled our destiny, until we have fulfilled the will of the goddess." And with those words, the die was cast. The path before them was clear, the destination certain. The journey would be long, the trials many, the dangers great. But they would face them together, united in their purpose, united in their love. And they would prevail, for they were the chosen ones, the heroes of legend, the saviors of their people. The torchlight flickered, casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to whisper secrets of their own. The scent of incense filled the air, a sweet, heady aroma that clung to their skin, that filled their lungs with each breath. The weight of their mission pressed heavily upon their shoulders, made a burden both sacred and suffocating. But they would bear it, for they were the chosen ones, the heroes of legend, the saviors of their people. And as the torchlight flickered and danced, as the scent of incense filled the air, as the weight of their mission pressed heavily upon their shoulders, they stood together, united in their purpose, united in their love. And they knew with a certainty that burned like a flame within their hearts that they would prevail. For they were the chosen ones, the heroes of legend, the saviors of their people. And they would not let their people down. They would not let each other down. They would not let themselves down. They would face whatever lay ahead together, united, unstoppable. And they would prevail. For they were the chosen ones, the heroes of legend, the saviors of their people. And they would not let their people down. They would not let each other down. They would not let themselves down. They would face whatever lay ahead together, united, unstoppable. And they would prevail. The weight of the world, or at least the weight of this world, settled onto Amon's shoulders as the divine words echoed in his mind. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, as if the heavens themselves were bleeding. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the faint metallic tang of the river that snaked through the village. The villagers, their faces etched with lines of worry and fear, huddled together, their whispers a soft, incessant hum that filled the space between the divine's departure and Amon's acceptance of his role. Amon stood at the edge of the village square, his heart pounding in his chest like a drumbeat, each thud echoing the divine's words, "You are the chosen one." His breath came in short, sharp gasps, as if he had run a great distance, and his hands trembled at his sides. He could feel the eyes of the villagers upon him, their gazes heavy with expectation and hope. He wanted to shrink under their scrutiny, to disappear into the shadows and let someone else bear this burden. But the divine's words were a chain around his heart, binding him to this path, this destiny. He looked down at his hands, calloused and rough from years of labor, and wondered how they could possibly wield the power the divine spoke of. He was a simple farmer, not a hero. He knew nothing of magic, or monsters, of ancient prophecies, or divine will. He was just Amon, a man who loved the feel of the soil beneath his fingers, the scent of the crops as they grew, the taste of the harvest after a long day's work. He was just Amon, a man who loved a woman whose eyes sparkled like the stars and whose laughter was as warm as the sun. He thought of Alara, her face as he had seen it that morning, her hair a wild tangle of dark curls, her eyes bright with mischief as she had teased him about his slow start to the day. He could almost feel her hands on his, her touch gentle but insistent as she had pressed a loaf of fresh bread into his palm, her voice soft as she had whispered, "For later, my love." He could almost taste the sweetness of her lips as they had brushed against his, the promise of her kiss lingering long after she had left for the market. He thought of their home, small and humble, but filled with love and laughter. He thought of the life they had planned, the children they had dreamed of, The years they had hoped to spend together, growing old and gray, their hands still entwined, their love still strong. He thought of the future. They would never have the dreams that would never come to pass, and his heart ached with a pain so sharp it stole his breath. He thought of the divine's words, of the monsters that lurked in the shadows of the darkness that threatened to consume this world. He thought of the villagers, their faces filled with fear and hope, their lives hanging in the balance. He thought of the choice he had to make, of the path he had to walk, and he knew that he could not turn away. He could not let them leave him behind, could not let them face the darkness alone. He was the chosen one, whether he wanted to be or not, and he would have to find a way to be the hero they needed. He took a deep breath, the scent of the village filling his lungs, the sounds of the villagers filling his ears. He felt the weight of his role settle onto his shoulders, and he knew that he could not shrink from it. He had to be strong, had to be brave, had to be the hero this world needed. He had to let go of the life he had planned, of the future he had dreamed of, and embrace the destiny that had been thrust upon him. He turned to face the villagers, his heart heavy with the knowledge of what he had to do. He saw the hope in their eyes, the faith they had in him, and he knew that he could not let them down. He had to be their hero, had to be their savior, had to be the chosen one. He took a step forward, his voice steady and strong as he spoke. I will do as the divine has asked. I will face the darkness. I will fight the monsters. I will save our world. The villagers cheered their voices, a chorus of hope and relief, their faces alight with joy and gratitude. Amen felt a surge of determination, a fire burning in his heart, a strength he had never known before. He knew that the path ahead would be difficult, that the journey would be long and dangerous, that the battle would be hard and bloody. But he also knew that he could not turn back, could not turn away. He was the chosen one, and he would see this through to the end. He looked up at the sky, the stars beginning to twinkle in the darkness, and he felt a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that the divine was with him, that their power was his to wield, that their strength was his to draw upon. He knew that he was not alone, that he would never be alone, that the love of his people, the faith of his villagers, the power of the divine would be with him every step of the way. He turned to Alara, her eyes filled with tears, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. He saw the fear in her eyes, the pain in her heart, and he knew that she understood what this meant, what he had to do, what he had to sacrifice. He walked over to her, his heart aching with love and sorrow, and he took her hands in his. He felt the warmth of her touch, the strength of her spirit, and he knew that he would carry her with him, that her love would be his guiding light, his beacon in the darkness. He leaned down and kissed her, his lips soft against hers, his heart pouring out its love, its sorrow, its fear. He tasted the salt of her tears, the sweetness of her love, and he knew that he would never forget this moment, this kiss, this goodbye. He pulled away, his eyes locked with hers, and he whispered, I love you, Alara. I will always love you. No matter what happens, no matter where I go, my heart will always be yours. She nodded, her tears spilling onto her cheeks, her voice a soft whisper. I love you too, Amen. I will always love you. And I will be here waiting for you, believing in you, praying for you. No matter how long it takes, no matter how far you go, I will be here, my love, my heart, my soul waiting for you to come home. He kissed her once more, a soft, gentle kiss, a promise of love and hope, of faith and strength. He pulled away his eyes, never leaving hers, and he whispered, I will come back to you, Alara, I promise. I will face the darkness. I will fight the monsters. I will save our world. and I will come back to you, my love. I will come back to you." He turned away, his heart heavy with love and sorrow, his eyes filled with determination and strength. He walked towards the edge of the village, the villagers parting before him, their voices a soft murmur of support and encouragement. He felt the weight of their hope, the strength of their faith, and he knew that he could not let them down. He was the chosen one, and he would see this through to the end. He looked back one last time, his eyes meeting Alara's, his heart aching with love and sorrow. He saw the faith in her eyes, the love in her heart, and he knew that he would carry her with him, that her love would be his guiding light, his beacon in the darkness. He turned away, his heart heavy with the knowledge of what he had to do, his eyes filled with the determination to see it through. He took a deep breath, the scent of the village filling his lungs, the sounds of the villagers filling his ears, and he stepped forward into the darkness, into the unknown, into his destiny. In the hushed sanctum of the divine's presence, the air thick with the scent of ancient parchment and the weight of eternity, the chosen one knelt their heart, a drumbeat of anticipation and dread. The divine, a radiant figure of light and shadow, loomed before them, a presence both comforting and terrifying in its magnitude. The final instructions were to be given, the last words that would guide the chosen one through the trials that lay ahead, the last whispers of the divine to echo in their heart as they ventured into the unknown. "Rise, my child." The divine's voice resonated, a chorus of 1,000 voices, speaking as one, each note a thread of destiny woven into the tapestry of time. "The hour of your departure is nigh, and with it the weight of my words shall rest upon your shoulders. Listen well, for these are the final instructions I shall bestow upon you." The chosen one stood their body, trembling not from fear, but from the immense responsibility that settled upon them like a mantle of starlight. They looked into the eyes of the divine pools of wisdom and emotion that held the universe within their depths, and nodded ready to receive the final teachings. "Firstly, remember this, you are not alone." The divine began their voice, a gentle breeze that caressed the soul. "Though the path before you is shrouded in darkness and fraught with peril, I am with you always. In the quiet moments of doubt, in the face of insurmountable odds, in the depths of despair, you shall find me. I am the light that guides you, the strength that sustains you, the love that envelops you. Never forget that you are my chosen vessel, and